Hello, hello, JJ DiGeronimo here in the hustle and bustle of the end of the year. Mercury just came out of retrograde and we have a new moon. We had a full moon, the last full moon of 2024, and I could not be more excited to bring Veronica Drake to you. Not only does she focus on intuition, she focuses on women in midlife and really tapping into the wisdom that we were brought here to use, leverage, and implement. And I'm really excited because I feel like I am her customer and she is mine. And we are here to activate the midlife women that are ready to lean in to what has been calling them, although sometimes they don't know what that is or how it manifests. So, Veronica, thank you so much for joining me today.
Oh, you are so welcome. I have to tell you, I felt such a connection to your energy when we first spoke, and
Mm.
I love what you're doing in the world, and I'm so honored to be part of your family. So thank you for having me.
Oh. Well, thank you so much for joining me here at Together We Seek, because this is really me seeking alongside everybody listening. I feel like there's so much to still be learned, and there's so much for us to still do.
Mhm.
So, I can't wait to get into how you activate midlife women in a way that helps them tap into their intuition. But before we jump there, I just want to talk a little bit about evolving your soul and what that means to you, because I feel like there's all these pieces and parts and language. So let's break it down for people just listening.
Absolutely. One of the things that I know I'm really good at is making the spiritual practical. So taking it to a very simplistic level. So we come in as a soul and we bring with us a contract, and think of it as we have this to do, we have this to do. So it's essentially like a to-do list, if you will. And so when we incarnate into these human bodies, we get certain things that will support this contract. It may not feel like it when we're experiencing them, because there's no good, bad, right, wrong. It's just support for the contract. And so as we go through life, all of these challenges, joys, obstacles, it's all about evolving the soul. That's the whole purpose we're here. The soul came here to experience. And so we have to have all of these little pieces of life so that we can evolve our soul. We are constantly in evolution.
It was so funny. I went to a sound bowl the other night and I was laying there thinking about the full moon, and I was thinking about that light that we come down with that really kind of is dropped into this humanness, right? That allows us to turn on our eyes. And I was thinking about that light within basically beaming up to the moon and looking back down at our human self and just kind of looking at everything that we carry with us, all that energy, all those stories, those experiences, and almost like shaking the human body off to let go of that.
Absolutely. I love the aerial view perspective from the moon, right? Because we can see things differently when we have an aerial view. I liken it to, if you live on the first floor of an apartment building, you're going to have a completely different view than if you move to the penthouse, right? We're going to be able to survey it in a whole different way. And so our spiritual journey is a little bit about moving up and down the floors of the penthouse, right? Or the apartment building. We're here and then we move up and we can see this, and we're accumulating all of this wisdom over our lifetime. Where we get stuck is we tend to cling to what we know, and we will commonly refer to them as our limiting beliefs, which is the human condition. So opening one's eyes, or having the famous ascension or enlightenment, if you will, is really all about self-awareness and really about embodying the light within and being able to understand we're not going to live at the mountaintop. We're not meant to live at the mountaintop we're not meant to live as a soul, right? We got to go up there. We got to get the tools. We got to bring them back down, and we got to work in humanity, on humanity with those tools. Because if we are all going to evolve, evolution is a group thing as well. I evolve me, you evolve you, we join arms and we evolve the collective. And that's what I've always been told from spirit.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And many of the messages that I get too, because sometimes I'm like, oh, I would love to just sit on that mountain and just be, wouldn't you, some days?
Are you kidding? Yes, it's such a glorious feeling to be there.
It is, but we're here and we're here for a reason. And I think all the souls that are down here right now, like most times, but I really feel like now is even more eccentric in so many ways that so many of them be like, me, get me down on that planet. I want to have those dramatic experiences. I want to have that soul growth. And then we get down here and we're like, what the heck is going on down here?
Yeah,
So how do you see that sitting with midlife people right now? Are they starting to ask more questions, lean more into what is calling them? Where is it sort of landing for them now?
I think that we are midlife. I think we are demanding practicality in our spirituality,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
I can only speak for me. I read books. I came up in the 90s spiritually, right? I couldn't get enough books. Marianne Williamson, Carolyn Mace, Wayne Dyer, the tried and true. And I couldn't get enough. And so I read and I read and I read, but okay, to what end? Okay, I had the knowledge and I would like to think I was trying to walk the talk, but I think now we are at a higher level and we're looking for practical application of what we know spiritually.
I love that. I love your saying that because I wrote this book a couple years ago, but it has not been activated. And I'm like, why? Why? But I think you've got it. I think I had to write it then so that now when this whole activation period started, when, Pluto moved into Aquarius and we're all starting to kind of awaken at some level, depending on, our birth chart. I do think that this is going to be starting to happen in 2025 more so than ever before is practical tips to release the guilt, sidestep the self-doubt, release the stories, dig out the darkness, and really create more of a body of light where possible.
Absolutely. And I don't think anyone gets missed when it comes to the ascension or the enlightenment. I think everybody gets the opportunity, but free will. You can see the path that takes you this way, or you can see the path that takes you this way. And whatever path you choose, it's not a right or a wrong. You're just going to get where you're going in different ways, right? Because I do believe that the soul has an overarching understanding of where it's going. Like, let's say a destination or a goal, if you mind to humanize the words. And we're not told you have to get there. The path is not linear and it has to be to the left. We're not told that. We're given free will for choice purposes, which also evolves the soul through the choices we make. I think the biggest detriment to humanity is when people look at things as right, wrong, good, bad. There just is. It isn't, the soul is neutral, if you will. It needs what it needs and it doesn't categorize it as, oh, this is awful, this is bad. It just is.
And do you think that there are levels of awakening? Like, you remember back, and this is really back in the 90s when they had the workout TV programs where they had the person going absolutely crazy on the right, and then the middle person was in the middle, and the left person was going super slow, but
Yep.
still getting a workout. Do you think our soul's experience has basically a opportunity to go as fast or as slow, or does it go at the pace that sort of is expected before we get here?
Well, I have to say to that, there is no such thing as time when it comes to the
Mhm.
soul, right? We know that. And I also think written in the contract is got to get there by X, or here's my
Mhm.
exit point. How much do I want to accomplish before I get to my exit point? How much do I
Yeah.
want to revisit at a later life, right? So there's all these variables. And I don't know about you, JJ, but I find it difficult to make the spiritual conversation about the soul human because we have to use human words, right? Like we have to say timing, but there really isn't. And so I've not found a great way yet to articulate it without using human words.
I know, I do that too. I always say journey, experience, but I'm the same way. I think sometimes it's such a like experience in the sense that it happens all the time in different ways. And if you take all those particles and pull them back, you can see some sort of awakening or evolution, but it's not like you're standing in one place at one time where you're like, "Oh, I've been upgraded."
Absolutely. I go back to your referencing the aerial view. I think it's a great, everybody talks about their New Year's resolution and, oh, I don't do that. I do word of the year. And that's all well and good. That's great. I always take an aerial view of my life over 2024 or the past year. Like I'll look at it in pockets. Okay. So the first half of the year I did this, and then let's break it down more. And then, okay, what was the learning there? And so I love the fact that you referenced the bird's eye view, the aerial view of it. And I think that's a great practice to establish for looking at seeing how far you've come, rather.
Well, I think that's great for people listening because this is happening right around the new year, this podcast. So just really reflecting on what the last year has brought you. What were your learnings? And, what are you letting go of? Because I feel like so many times, like we have to learn things many times. And so some of us might be like, you know what? I've learned that lesson. That lesson, I'm going to leave it in the past human calendar year.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
And taking away, extracting, I was making a cake the other day and I needed lemon in it, right? And you get the lemon and it's like, I need 2 tablespoons. And it's like, you want to squeeze the lemon until you can get every bit of juice out of it. So what is it that you want to get in and out of 2024? Like what lessons are in the messiness, right? Because the mess really holds the messages. It's really important.
I've heard that before. I love that. The messes are the message. Yes, I love that. So, Veronica, you obviously did not wake up and be like, okay, this is my work. So, for those listening that know they have gifts, maybe have done a little bit around their gifts, how did this manifest for you? How did you really lean into the intuitiveness, the mediumship, the gifts that you offer the world? Was there one compelling event, a series of events?
Hmm. I would say in 1996 was the most prominent event. I went to take my life. I had been a really not so nice person. I had made choices that hurt a lot of people. I was deceitful, hurtful, in a manipulative kind of way. Right. And so I decided I didn't want to live anymore. And I had everything going for me by, looking from the outside, I had everything, a perfect life, da, 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 but it wasn't. And so when I went to crash my car, it was a very icy snowstorm in November. I live on the East Coast, and I picked this big hill to go down, and I was going to slide or crash my car into the side of a bridge abutment. And it was a sheet of ice. And I thought, okay, this is it. I'm going to slide whether I give it up or not. Right. And so I get there and I'm screaming and I'm crying and I'm cussing out God, spirit, source. And my car starts sliding down and I'm screaming and I'm on a sheet of ice going down. And all of a sudden, mid slide, my car stops on the ice. It just stopped. Like it didn't go anywhere. And I sat there and I thought, what is going on here? My foot's off the gas. I don't have my foot on the brake. I'm just like there. And my car filled up with this incredible warmth. Like I had to do this in my car. And it was so warm and it was so full. And I heard, "You're not going anywhere." And my car gently slid over to the side of the road and just sat there. And I was like sobbing and I heard, "We've got you." And I just sat there for what felt like an eternity, sobbing and crying. And I would have to say in that moment, I became somebody that believed in something bigger than I was because I wasn't raised with any religion or I didn't know what the heck it was going. Santa was Christmas and Easter Bunny was Easter. I had no context for anything. But yeah, that was, I'd say, a very pivotal moment where I was like, okay, you got my attention. And then it just began to have little coincidences, which I don't think there are, or synchronicities. So yeah.
That is powerful. That is powerful. And so, how long did it take you to sort of move through this next chapter of an awakening, a connection, an intuitiveness that sounds like maybe you sidestepped before at some level. How long did it take you from 1996 to sort of get into this work of helping others? Would you
Thank you. Yeah, great question. Um, well, I will say this, I call it the 4 Ds. Death, disease, disaster, or divorce will hit you, and you will begin your ascension or descension. You get to choose. It really was the catapulting force that I chose to ascend. So I would say from 1996, the journey went, kind of like this. There's nothing linear. And I enrolled in a coaching academy to become a spiritual life coach in 2005, I think it was. So that time frame in there. In the meantime, I had just always known things about people. I could read a room. I would, pick up energy. But I would know things about people that would just fall out of my mouth, like, and I would be like, I don't know, I'm sorry, like not mean things or anything, but it felt intrusive. And so I learned how to harness that because we're all born intuitive. It didn't skip some of us. We all have it, so it was a progress, but first a spiritual life coach. Then I became, in a metaphysical capacity, a licensed spiritual counselor, director. And then I opened up my business to be a psychic medium, where I did readings, and here I am to date.
Gosh, I love that. I love that. I love the journey. I feel like it empowers so many people to be like, I feel like I have something. People talk to me or I get messages for people, but what do I do with that? And, 1996 to 2006, I mean, that's 10 years. It took you from the side of the road to really starting to use your life as an asset or a conduit to share the messages
Absolutely.
from the light.
Yep, absolutely.
And so there's no, I don't know, it's taken me a long time too. I feel like I'm just really just starting to get into this and I'm, going to be 52 next month. So, and I'm happy to be where I am. And even though I would have loved to skip many of the steps that I had to learn, I feel so much more at peace than I've ever felt. And I feel like it's all of those steps. It takes all of those steps.
Well, I tell you, the decade of the 50s for me, because I'm 62, the decade of the 50s was life altering. I believe there's something very magical, if you will, about the 50s. We're out of the space of pleasing other people. We're in the space of saying, okay, what's in it for me? Not in a selfish way, but in a self-caring way, And I think the 50s, my business took an upswing, if you will, I was 52 years old. I'll never forget it. And it was like, I had an astrologer read my chart. I had a numerology and it was like 52. Yes, you're going to take off. And it did. My 50s was like a whirlwind. I got discovered on a very popular YouTube channel. And it was like everything blew open. And I began this journey of impacting lives in a way that I was questioning, if I'm honest, am I really capable of doing this? Because I'm human, right? Never let ego get in the way. I never assume this is about me because it has nothing to do with me. I'm the conduit, right? Like I'm just me being me. Um, but,
Mm.
but my passion is by the time I take my final nap, I want to have impacted the lives of 500,000 women to empower them to believe, know, and trust their intuition so that they can live lives of unshakable confidence.
Mm. I echo that. I mean, that's why I do this, right? I do this too to remind people why they're here and give them a space to explore the gifts that they have not fully tapped into yet. And I do think that intuition, a word that you hear a lot, oftentimes it's hard to like get into your intuition. So I know you're offering programs and things. So can you give us a little sliver of what that looks like for people that are like, yes, I want to lean into this. How do I lean more into being a conduit for my intuition?
Yes, absolutely. I was guided to create an online community called the School of Spiritual Arts. It is an online learning center for spiritually curious women who are midlife, and they're looking to reconnect with their intuition, reignite their creativity, and ultimately realign with their life's purpose. We know why we're here, it just gets buried, right? So I have a whole curriculum built on just using, developing, and trusting intuition.
And I've already been out there many times since we met, which we met through Tammy. So thank you, Tammy, for the connection.
Yeah.
Yeah, so on your Instagram page, you have your link tree with all the ways to work and connect with you, and all those links are below. What is coming up for you in early 2025 that people might be able to meet you in person or online?
You know what? We are formulating my 2025 calendar. And I know that you and I will be doing something. I'm not sure what yet, but we will be. And Tammy and I will be doing something. We just haven't gotten the formalities done. Recently, I just opened up my schedule for readings again. I had taken a little hiatus. And so I was I was quite pleasantly surprised for the influx that's coming in. So right now I'm honoring doing readings for people, but they're readings that are of substance. They are readings that take you, and I get very emotional with this, like, because I know it saved my life when I heard what I heard from spirit to do these readings. They're deep, they're powerful, and they take you on a journey into what's possible. And so it's not, forgive me, where's my baby daddy? Does he love me? I could do those readings and I could find your soulmate. And yeah, we could do all of that. But these are readings where I introduce you to your soul, to the deepest part of who you are, because I can sense who you are. My soul knows your soul. And so I'm honored to do those readings.
Mm. Veronica, that is a pretty powerful skill. This is close to my 100th episode. So I've met so many light workers, healers, and mystics, and each one of you have such unique gifts and tools to share with humanity, and especially those that are ready to lean into what is calling them. So having that connection with your soul's work is priceless. And
Yes.
so I hope it is. It is. It's like a can opener to really encourage you to lean into what is calling you, because we hear the messages, we see things, we know things, but it's amazing what really gets you to tip in.
Mhm. And I wanna say thank you to you, because women
Mhm.
like you who are literally holding the space, the stage, who are hosting 100 episodes and selflessly giving of your time to bring this to the world, you are an instrumental part of what's happening, and thank you for allowing me to be in your world. I am truly honored.
I'm so honored too that my work has brought me to you. And I want to do this again because I want to still talk about the elements. I want to talk more about your element assessment. I feel like that's another thing that we should tackle and discuss in 2025. But I just feel like this is such a sacred space right here of the work you are doing and how you got to your work, that I really just want to sit in this energy right now.
Oh, thank you. Yes, thank you, thank you.
And I'm honored. I'm honored that you would join me. I'm honored that the universe would pick me to showcase and shine light on so many people that are here to help us.
Well, you're the connector. We're
Mm.
linking arms and you're connecting us all. So you're doing very important work. And like I said, everybody is a piece of this puzzle, and everybody's holding their strength, and everybody's banding together to move us forward, i.e. the ascension.
And as I was listening to Louise Hayes last night, and she was saying, visualize your manifestation. And I really visualize all of us being collectively together at times throughout the year on the water in Lake Erie, because I do believe that that space is a multi-activator.
Oh,
As above is below, and I believe it covers both of those and then some. So I'm looking forward to you joining me out there as well. And I just really
yeah.
want to thank you for sharing this space and time with me to kick off another human calendar year.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Veronica. And thank everybody for listening, spending this year with us. Share with us the light workers you're working with, the healers, the work that you're doing, because it is going to take all of us to really shift the frequency of the planet in conversations like this, you can feel it. I can feel it. The energy has shifted just since we've been together. So I'm really looking forward to continuing to connect with you this year. And I look forward to hearing the work that you're doing. So with that, we're signing off.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.